Welcome. Today it is our pleasure to bring to you the candidates for Town Council in Blowing Rock. They are going to share their positions on topics that are important to all of us. The county has refused to fully fund a 24/7 transport ambulance team to serve Blowing Rock in the Blowing Rock Fire District area, creating a major risk to health and safety of our residents and visitors. The question is, what is your position on adopting a compromise subsidy to the county to provide 24/7 transport ambulance service to Blowing Rock based on a 50-50% cost sharing formula with the taxpayers of the Blowing Rock Fire District?
I believe that the EMS service will only be as good as what the community can afford. And if most people are wanting us to raise taxes to pay maybe 2-3 times for a service that is already being provided in other areas of the county, then yes, I'll consider it. But it's a little more complicated than just a 50-50 split. The rural district is involved, which with the rural district, they do not quite benefit as much as a town does, because 65 to 70% of the calls run by EMS is run inside the city limits. So they don't quite benefit as much as the town would benefit on this. Plus, their rural board would have to decide whether they want to raise taxes, which means they have to go out to all their public and talk to, and they also have to get permission to the county to do this. And we already provide a large subsidy to EMS right now. We have a level 3, we got 3 paramedics on each level at all 3 stations in our district that go out. We have a backup ambulance system that's called out that's not funded. We provide a place over here at our fire station in town at roughly no charge at all for the crew and the ambulance. So we already subsidize in ways, the taxpayers are already subsidizing in ways for the EMS system. But if most people are wanting this and ask for this, then yes, I'll consider it.
This is a tough subject. We've been fighting this subject for like 47 years now, trying to get a full-time ambulance here, but I'm all for us having a full-time ambulance in Blowing Rock. I don't know what the solution is. I know council's working with it, Shane's been working with it, Kent Graham's working with it. I do have a concern on the 50-50 split. Half of that is coming from the town, which would be our taxpayers. The other half is coming from the fire district, which our taxpayers are in also. So that's kind of a double tax situation for us. We can't get the county commissioners to give us a full-time ambulance already. So I don't know if we'll get them to agree to the tax in the fire district either, because that goes before the board for the fire district. But it ultimately has to be approved by the county commissioners also. So we're back to being in front of the county commissioners, which has not been real good for us yet. So if we could get it, that's awesome. I do believe we need to also concentrate on the fact that our fire department is amazingly staffed. I know it's not what anybody wants to hear. You know, we all want the aha at the end of the rainbow. We want that 24/7 ambulance, but we have 14 firefighters full-time, and 11 of them are top paramedics. I mean, that's what you get when Watauga Medics comes. You get one of those on the ambulance. We have 11 of those here in Blowing Rock full-time. And since May, COVID protocols have changed, and they answer all level calls now, so they're back to being normal and answering our calls. So while we work towards our goal of the 24/7 ambulance, I think we need to concentrate on that too, and informing our citizens that we have best care arriving as soon as the call goes out to take care of us until that ambulance gets here. So I want us to not forget that little piece of the puzzle too, but still work towards our goal of the 24/7 ambulance.
Yes, we need the service. And I think that when you get into the details, it's something that people have to understand that the county is in control of this process. They're mandated by the legislature to do the taxing and everything. So I think it's important that people, the voters here, realize that yes, we need it. How much is it going to cost? Because out campaigning, people ask me, we're already paying money to the county, and now you're going to suggest that we have more money to pay for this service. And then the question is, isn't that double taxation? And I say, well, if the people really want it, then we're going to have to figure out a way to provide the money to do this, because it's something, and it's an imbalance of the money that goes to the county versus what we get for that service. I mean, if you call an ambulance in Boone, it's 6 to 9 minutes. If you call an ambulance up here, it could be 9 to 20 minutes before an ambulance get here. Now, we have the best ETM people in the world, and they do their job, and they'll stabilize you, but it's getting from here to the hospital. So when I get elected, I'll work with the town manager, the mayor, and council people to work out an arrangement to get this process started.
Okay, I ran the first time in 2015, and I was pushing for a 24/7 transport service. We have some of the best paramedics that any town could strive to have in our community right now. And 2017, I pushed for a 24/7 service. 2019, I pushed for a 24/7 service without any cooperation from Watauga County. Now, Boone does not have to pay for their transport. Beech Mountain does, Seven Devil does, and we do. That's not right. That is not fair. That's not fair to the citizens. I brought a proposal to the council at the last meeting. It was just for them to digest. And that is that we pull back 50% of the sales tax we're sending to Watauga County, and that be applied to a 24/7 transport. The other 25% come from the fire district and 25% from the taxpayers. I do not feel it's fair that the taxpayers are obligated to pay for this service in full. I don't think they should pay for 50% of it. I think 25% is asking enough. I feel like we need the 24/7 service. We're growing. We have a lot of tourists. Our demographics are changing. We have more and more people moving here because we're a fantastic town and a great community. It is time that Watauga County jumped up to the plate for one of the biggest cash cows for Watauga County, which is the town of Blowing Rock. That's my take on it.
Sounds good. Okay, ready to keep going?
Yep.
Okay. Downtown Vision, West Main Street. The downtown land use code for West Main Street is out of date with market conditions and not consistent with the recommendations of our comprehensive plan to protect the character of West Main Street. What is your position regarding an update of the land use code for West Main Street to balance the need for progress and preservation of our historic village?
You know, every community has to grow. And it is our jobs as elected officials that you, the citizens, put us in for to maintain beauty, consistency of the community. It's up to the planning board to come to the council with recommendations on what improvements can be made, whether it be setbacks, height of buildings, occupancy, parking. I feel like that, growing up here, this town has grown a lot. Some things have been removed that probably shouldn't have been removed. Many buildings have been restored. And I think that this is a very fluid situation. There's no one fix. And I think that recommendations need to come from the citizens to the council and to the planning board, and realistic recommendations on how do we continue moving forward with our uniqueness, our quaintness, but we're still going to grow. So I'm in favor of always looking at positive change. And how do we regulate it? How do we maintain it? And I as mayor and the council, we have to rely on the citizens. We have to rely on the planning board to make these recommendations and bring them to us.
Okay, good. The next one is on special use permits. Special or conditional use permits are quasi-judicial public hearings that restrict the ability of the council to discuss, hear, or consider input from the community. What is your position on eliminating special or conditional use permits in favor of special zoning permits that allow community input?
I was just informed my mic fell.
Yes, it is, but you were fine during the whole way.
Are his fingers occasionally in front of his face?
I don't think so.
Okay, from my angle, they are a little bit.
Yeah, I'm in a higher angle. So
Okay,
I think
okay,
that's fine.
when you have your hands here, but from my perspective, occasionally you
Okay.
cover up.
Do you have something I can sit on?
That would,
There's a sign right there, you can just put that right there.
No, I need the blowing rock phone book. I'm joking with you.
yeah, no, I think his angle, I just
Okay.
didn't want you to, I want you to look the best you can.
Okay.
Because you look great, but I'm all about the visuals too as part of my job.
Okay.
And so I just want to be sure that your fingers weren't at any point covering up any part of your face.
And that you
Okay.
don't look at the video and go, why didn't they tell me I was doing this?
It's
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
We're fine.
It's all right.
Okay, start, I'm gonna rephrase the question again, okay?
Okay.
What is your position on eliminating special conditional use permits in favor of special zoning permits that allow community input?
I think the special use permits have a place. When they should be used, I think should be determined by our planning and zoning department. Sometimes I agree with them, sometimes I don't. In certain cases, someone that lives over on Green Hill, should they have a position on something that's going in at the horse show grounds? Maybe not. I feel like when it's something that directly impacts the whole community, then it should fall under conditional zoning, where all can speak. But when it's something that does not directly impact the whole community, but yet does fall under the SUP protocol, then maybe the SUP should be used. So I feel like it's got its place. When we use it and when we don't is determined by code. And so for right now, unless something comes about that's better, that we can better utilize, that is more useful, then so be it. But we have conditional zoning and we have the special use permitted zoning. I haven't seen any good suggestions yet other than let's just go to conditional zoning. And I feel like that in many cases, everyone has and should supply input, but in some cases they shouldn't.
study is to manage congestion primarily with self-funded parking and wayfinding solutions. What is your position on the Brooks plan to reduce congestion with paid parking, remote parking facility, dedicated shuttle service, and wayfinding?
You know, my many years of business, using a consultant 99% of the time told us what we already knew. And the outside source just further either enhanced or gave it more concreteness and pushed the decisions along. The Roger Brooks study did open our eyes on signage. Yes, we need signage. People don't know where to park. Some people don't know where the downtown is. And we have already instituted some of what Roger Brooks has put that's going to be in his report, one of which is crosswalk signage, lighted crosswalk signage, and new traffic lights at Sunset and Main and 221 and Main. We agreed to that 8 months ago. The council voted on it and approved it. Right now, all the equipment's been ordered. Now we're just waiting on the equipment to come in. So that has been done. We've been looking at satellite parking, which everybody agrees we need satellite parking. That is something the council's currently addressing, the possibility of purchasing additional property in town or within the town limits for satellite parking. As far as paid parking, I think it's a good thing. I've received one parking ticket in the town of Blowing Rock, which it took me 10 minutes to go to the police station and pay. $10. It didn't break the bank, but a lot of people will pay $10 for 2 hours parking or $15 for 3 hours parking, particularly in our town, because it's so unique. We have a lot of good shops, a lot of good restaurants that people want to visit, and I feel like the paid parking is a good idea moving forward. As far as shuttle service, yes, I mean, it was funny because one of Roger's comments to me was he saw the apple cart and thought it was a produce truck, not realizing it was a shuttle till he saw the shuttle sign on it. And but then he said, well, where does it go? So he had a good point that when you get on the shuttle, you need to know where it's going. And that's going to be moving forward with additional signage on where the shuttle stops are. And then if we do satellite parking, we will institute some type of shuttle system from the satellite parking. This is also a fluid situation. This is ongoing, and we're going to have to continue making improvements. So signage, I think, is a good thing. Paid parking is a good idea, and that will help finance additional parking outside of the downtown. And of course, the crosswalk items, that's been done, it's going to be done. So.
Okay, good. The last one. You want water or anything? Are you good?
Good.
You're good?
Good.
Okay. Funding for tourism expenses. Town expenses to support tourism-related expenses exceed funding sources. Property taxes of $5.2 million fund 60% of the town's budget of $8.6 million. Excuse me. But downtown property taxes, $387,000 provide only 4.5% of the town's budget. Other consumer paid sales and occupancy taxes of $1.5 million provide a total of 17.9% of the town's budget. What is your position on 1, establishing a downtown business improvement tax district to fund future infrastructure improvements, and 2, amending the TDA funding formula to allocate revenue to support tourism expenses.
Okay. In all due respect, I'm not sure where your numbers came from, but they are incorrect. Residential property taxes make up 45% of the budget. Sales tax makes up 15%. TDA revenue was 10%, now it's closer to 15%. Commercial property taxes, 8%. Other taxes, 7%. Franchise taxes, 5%. ABC profit was 1%. Now it's close to 2%. So, the ABC store has done well. That being said, in the future, BRCA or whomever put these numbers together needs to get with Shane Fox and clear these numbers up so they are accurate. Okay, establishing a downtown business improvement tax. I'm split on that one. How do you do that? Do you just tax the downtown Main Street? Do you tax Valley Boulevard? And how about me at the Blowing Rock? Or how about the Green Park? How do you do this in a fair manner? I'm not sold on that. I know a lot of communities have a downtown, tax, which assists with infrastructure and so on. We're getting ready to start on the water sewer on Main Street. Some people have said, well, that's downtown. It is. But these are main lines that feed extreme north side of town, extreme south side of town. So it's not just downtown. So I'm really split on the taxing the downtown establishments. That I'm going to have to wait and see. Amending the TDA funding formula. Well, first off, I don't know if this has been addressed. To amend the TDA funding, first, TDA has to make that vote and make that recommendation to the council. Second, the council has to approve that change in funding. 3, the council has to send that request to the General Assembly. The General Assembly has to approve that change in TDA funding. Right now, we're at a 2/3, 1/3 split. And the one gentleman that's on TDA, Tim Gupton, has spoke out frequently on how he feels like the split needs to be changed. He's on the board and was nominated to board to support the TDA, not to redirect their financing. So I have a problem with that. As I stated, if the board wishes to change their distribution, the board has to vote on it unanimous. The council as well, and then the council has to send that to the General Assembly. So my take on TDA right now is it is what it is, unless the TDA board votes on a change and sends that to the council, and the council agrees, and then the state has to approve. Okay?